So there were a couple of narratives that came out when DeepSeek kind of first hit the mainstream media. The first narrative was somehow China magically found a way to create a cutting edge model without using a lot of resources. Right. The number everyone threw around was about $5 to $6 million. They figure out how make a model that almost as good as OpenAI's best model for $5 to $6 million. And that freaked everyone out. Like, oh my gosh, like China figured out some magic alchemy. If you actually looked at where that figure came from, it was, from a paper on December 26th, right? It wasn't even the last few weeks. It was like, long time ago. And that $5 to $6 million figure was just on the final training run, on a final theoretical training run. If they rented that 2,000 GPUs from a cloud provider, it wasn't even real. It was a theoretical rental cost if they did a final perfect training run for that model. And then you read this next line, and it says this does not incorporate any employee costs, pre-training costs, all the research and experiments we did before. Like, it was just a final training run. But all the research, all the employees, all the infrastructure costs to lead you to the final perfect training run was not included. So the actual cost is like an order of magnitudes higher. The week before all this stuff hit the wires, the DeepSeek CEO met with the Chinese premier and said, "We need more GPUs," right? Like, if you've magically figured out a way to create cutting edge models for $5 to $6 million, why would you go to the Chinese premier and say you need more GPUs, right? Doesn't make sense. And a few days before this DeepSeek craziness, the Chinese government announced they're going to invest $140 billion in AI over the next few years. So all these things happened at once. Everyone just went off with the misleading narrative that you could create. China somehow figured out a way to recreate OpenAI with $5-6 million, which is not even what the paper says. So that's the first part of it. The second part of it, which is actually true, is that the DeepSeek model is very optimized and efficient. Like, compared to the OpenAI model, it's probably uses 90% less compute resources. So it is very efficient in the use of compute. And the way it did that, it kind of combined all these AI innovations that other AI startups and companies have already done in the past, and combined it in a very smart way, a novel way, mixture of experts, number precision, all these things, right? But if you just step back, that compute efficiency, 90%, it's completely normal. It's something Jensen talks about, in his speeches all the time, how NVIDIA and the industry has driven down the cost of computing by 1,000 times, and he hopes over the next 1,000 times will happen. Another 1,000 times will happen over the next decade. So it's just a fact of computing history where the cost of computing will come down, and developers will find a way to use that extra computing power to make new AI applications. It'll drive AI adoption. There's all these things you can do with the extra compute power, and it creates innovation. It sparks innovation. So the second part where people start freaking out that maybe we don't need AI compute power anymore because DeepSeek is more efficient than other models. Like, that doesn't make any sense either, because this has been happening for the last few decades, and this is just a continuation of what's going to happen. And what happened is, after all this chaos with DeepSeek, every major technology company in the U.S. raised their guidance in terms of their AI infrastructure capital spending this year. I mean, Google, Meta, Amazon, all of them said that AI demand is off the charts. We don't have enough capacity to serve that demand, and we're going to actually increase what we spend later this year. So all these narratives that people kind of freaked out about just simply aren't true, and it shows from what the large technology companies are saying with AI demand and the capacity they need going forward.